Happy Tuesday. We are going to continue talking about housing problems today. I wanted to give you some more words just because I think this is an important topic and it's really good to know these words in case you have this problem in your house or apartment so you can tell about what is wrong in your house or apartment. So first we have water problems, and we have a couple of these we'll go through. So water problems, first one, clogged. Clogged. The sink is clogged. Clogged means the water does not go down. The water stays where it is and does not go down. Overflowing. Overflowing. The sink is overflowing. So overflowing is when you have water that is going over the edge, over the top. So this could be true with your bathtub, your sink, your toilet. Again, I chose sink examples here, but this could be anything that holds water. More water problems. Leaking. Leaking. The ceiling is leaking. So here we see water coming through. And again, this is different from overflowing. Overflowing, there is supposed to be water, but there's just too much. Maybe it's also clogged, and that's why it is overflowing. Leaking is when there's water coming from a place where there should not be water. So leaking is a little bit different from overflowing. Dripping, we had this word yesterday. Dripping, the faucet is dripping. So here is a faucet as you would find in a sink. And dripping, here you see just a drop. It comes just drip, drip, very slowly. So it's not quite leaking like this, but it is kind of slowly just coming out. And again, if the faucet is off, it should not have any water coming out of it. So if your faucet is dripping, that is a problem. Flooded. The bathroom is flooded. So hopefully you can see the water on the floor in here. So flooded, the bathroom is flooded. So when you have water on the floor that's just staying there, obviously don't want this to happen. But if this does happen, you would call this flooded. So flooded could happen. So if there is overflow, also not here in California, but in places that get really bad hurricanes, they get major flooding. But this is flooding. So there's standing water in places where there should not be. We're going to move on to some other problems now. So these I think are useful when we're describing kind of the different problems. So the first one, so I use Windows for all of these. I think these are really good words to use for Windows. These can be true for anything made of glass though. So mirrors, things like that. So we have broken. The window is broken. So you can see there's a hole in the window. You could say broken for this one, but it's more accurate to say cracked. This one is cracked very bad. So cracked, the window is cracked. Other things that can crack, so for example, your phone screen, so the screen on your phone, hopefully not the screen on your computer, that would be very bad. Mirrors can crack as well. Again, things that are made of glass. I'm using windows here as examples, but other things that are made of glass could have these problems. Sliding glass doors. Scratched. The glass is scratched. So this is when something sharp has scratched your window. So something sharp has gone like this. Maybe an animal, maybe just, something brushing up against it. So scratched is a little bit different from cracked. So for example, so I'm going to use my phone as an example again. So here's my phone. So if I put my phone in my purse, for example, and maybe my car keys are in there, my car keys might scratch my phone, right? Which is why I usually put it in my pocket instead of my purse, because I know my keys are in there. So my car keys could scratch my phone. If I drop my phone, it might be cracked. The screen might be cracked. Luckily I'm sitting on my couch, so it's okay. So scratched versus cracked. Usually with scratched, it's still able to use it. Cracked, maybe not. If it's really bad, you might not be able to use it. If it's just a little bit, it might be okay. Also in your car, the windshield, so the front part of your car, the window that you look out in your car, these can also get scratched and cracked. Again, if it's cracked like this, you will need a new windshield. If it's just cracked a little bit, and as long as you can still see, many people will still drive with cracks in their windshield or with a cracked windshield. If it's something where it's really big or it's really bad, again, then you might need to replace it. Replace means get a new one. Cracked, we can also use this to talk about walls. We can use this to talk about many things, sorry. So cracked, the wall is cracked. And you will notice here the line. So when things are cracked, there is kind of a line like that. Sometimes if it's very bad, there are many lines. So cracked, the wall is cracked. Peeling, the paint is peeling. So you can see right here, you can see the gray underneath, and you can see it's just kind of slowly peeling off. Maybe with time, maybe some water got on there. So this is peeling. Ripped, torn. The carpet is ripped. The carpet is torn. And these sentences are true for both pictures. I just picked this picture because I think it's easier to see. It's a better picture. But this picture is also an example of ripped or torn. So ripped, torn. So the carpet is ripped. The carpet is torn. So when we think of ripped or torn, many times we think of things like fabric, so like clothing. So if my clothing was torn, there would be it would be torn. Carpet is not quite a fabric, but it's close to that. Paper products also. So if I had a piece of paper, oh, do I have a piece of paper? I can get one. Aha. So paper products, let me find one that doesn't have anything on it. So the paper is ripped. The paper is torn. Also things like, so here's tissue. I did a great job with that. The tissue is ripped. The tissue is torn. So things like fabric, paper products, so paper products like this or soft ones like this, those can be ripped or torn also. So you might hear those words used to talk about that. Stained. The carpet is stained. Stained. The carpet is stained. So this again happens when something spills. So maybe juice or coffee, something with a strong color. And even if you try and clean it, that color doesn't come out of the carpet. So the carpet is stained. Again, you can stain other things. So you can stain clothing. So, well, this probably not so much because it's dark green. Maybe like ink from a pen would stain it. But usually lighter colored things. So if you have something that is white, so like this could be very easily stained. Also it's a tissue though, so if it gets stained, you probably throw it away, right? So clothing could be very easily stained if it's a light color. So again, this is something that can happen to lots of different fabrics. Jammed. This was a really hard one to find a picture for, but I think this is the best picture. Jammed. The door is jammed, it will not open. So jammed, I'm actually going to add a second description for this. Let's see, what font is this? 17. So let's do it like this. Okay. I'm going to give you the word stuck too. So the door is stuck. It will not open. Stuck. So stuck, jammed. So stuck means something cannot move. Jammed is the same sort of thing. It's supposed to move, but in this moment, for some reason, there's a problem and it cannot move. We use jammed more when we're talking about like problems with our house. We might say something like, for example, let's say we're in traffic and you know all the cars are sitting there, they're not moving. We might say then we are stuck in traffic. So we use stuck for many more different things to talk about situations where we cannot move for some reason. So if I'm in my car, there are cars behind me, they're not moving, cars in front of me, they're not moving, I might say I am stuck in traffic, for example. Also, another kind of silly example, if my dog is sitting with me and you know she's asleep, she's sitting on me, I might say I am stuck, I cannot get up because my dog is sitting on me and she's asleep and she's so happy, and so I cannot move, I cannot get up. Different things like that. So jammed, we usually think of this for things like something is supposed to be moving, but in this moment it is not. Also, if you have ever worked with printers, and if you have, you say, oh no, printers. When the paper, so when you print papers from a printer, the paper comes out, right? When it does not come out, when the paper gets stuck and it won't move, we say the printer is jammed. It will not print. Happens many times. So if you have worked with a printer before, you might have some experience with jammed. Again, jammed we'll usually use with machines where parts are not moving, or things like doors, windows, things in the house. Stuck, we could say stuck, that would be true, but we can use stuck for other situations. So situations about, I could say, I am stuck and give you a reason why I can't move. Again, this is used more for machines, doors, windows, those sorts of things. All right. So we're going to talk about two things here. So these ones are actually nouns. I will ask you a little bit about these in the activity. Mildew. Mildew. The shower has mildew. So you can see right in here, there's some very, I wouldn't say nice mildew. There's mildew. It's not very nice. So mildew comes from places that are warm and wet. For example, your shower. So if maybe you don't clean your shower, after some time, mildew will start to form. And again, mildew is a kind of fungus. And we don't really, it's kind of gross. We don't want it in our shower. We're going to talk about another kind of fungus called mold. That's the bad one. Mildew, it's not good, but we can clean it. It's not so bad that it's a big problem. We can clean it ourselves. Here it says mildew can be cleaned by you with household cleaners. Oops, I'm missing a letter there. Oops. Sorry, gonna go back to this. Cleaners, there we go. So mildew can be cleaned by you with household cleaners. So a cleaner, you go just, and then you can clean it. So something like this, it's gross, it's dirty, but it's not a big problem. It can become a big problem. So this is mold. There is mold on the wall. Now, mold is a very serious problem that you cannot clean by yourself. It can cause health problems. You must call a professional for help. So usually things in your shower, it's natural for if you don't, clean your shower every week, or even if you do clean your shower every week, you still might get a little bit of mildew in your shower. And that's natural because it's a warm and it's a wet place. There's water, there's heat. But those are places where it's kind of normal for that. And as long as you clean it, keep it under control, that's fine. Mold, however, is usually found in other places where it's not supposed to be. So like a wall right here. So what this tells me, just looking at this, is somehow maybe in the walls there was water, it was warm, and mold started to grow. A lot of times mold comes from if there's a leak, so water in a place where it should not be. Over time, you can get mold. And again, mold is very serious. It can cause very serious health problems. Something like this is a pretty severe example. But it's something that's very serious and you can't clean it by yourself, so you would need to call a professional for help in this situation. So we're gonna do something fun here. So I have two sound things to share with you. So the first one is creaky. The floorboards are creaky. So these are floorboards right here. This is a wood floor. You can have with carpet, sometimes you can have a creaky floor if maybe there's wood or something underneath. If you have concrete under your carpet, probably not. If you're on a second level, possibly. This could be something even if you have carpet. So we're gonna listen, and I have one more after this. Let's see. Oops, sorry. All right, so we're gonna listen to creaky floorboards. I think that's pretty good. So that is creaky. Those are creaky floorboards. Let me find our other one. We have one more here. Squeaky. The door hinge is squeaky. So this is a door hinge. Sometimes we will use squeaky and creaky interchangeably. Squeaky is usually a higher sound. Creaky is a little bit of a lower sound. So you could really use either. If it sounds like a high sound to you versus a lower sound, you might use squeaky. So we're gonna play squeaky, and I think you will hear the difference between high and low, and we can jump back and forth and listen to both. So here's a squeaky door. So you hear how it's like, it's very high. That's a high sound versus creaky. It's a lower sound, right? So this is a lower sound versus, and at the end, I would say it gets there's a little bit of a creaky sound. So again, the difference between squeaky and creaky is if it sounds high or low to you. And again, one person might say, oh, that's a creaky door, or oh, that's a squeaky door. Meaning wise, squeaky, higher sound, creaky, a little bit of a lower sound. Still kind of high, but not quite what that squeaky door sounded like. So I do have one more slide. I'm actually going to use this for the activity, but I thought it would be great just to go through and just say some of these problem words. I don't have the words mold or mildew on here, but I think we've heard them a few times. So if you want to say those with me now, we can say those, and then we will say these other ones. So mold, M-O-L-D, mold. And the other one is mildew. Mildew. And again, oops, mildew and mold. So those are what we're talking about. Again, mildew is the one you can take care of by yourself. Again, you don't want to let it get really bad. If you have a lot of mildew, that can be a problem too. Usually in most places it's a small problem. You can just clean it up on your own. Mold is the dangerous one. This again, before we read those, even though this is a lot, so this is a really serious, mold problem. Even if you have a little spot like that though, that can be a problem. Also, there could be more mold, inside the wall or something. So if you have mold problems, you definitely want to call a professional for that. So let's just go through. We'll say these words, and then afterwards you can go back to the Google Classroom and do the activity for this lesson. All right. Actually, I might put this video in the activity. So if I end up doing that, then of course you just, scroll down and answer the questions. We'll see what I decide. I'm always changing my mind. It really depends on how long it is. All right, so let's say these. So I'll say it and then you will say it. First one, clogged. Clogged. Overflowing. Overflowing. Let's do that one more time. Overflowing. It's because of the door. You heard the door. He thinks there was a door opening. Leaking, leaking, dripping, dripping, flooded, flooded, broken, broken, cracked, cracked, scratched, scratched. And I'll skip this one just because we did that one already. Peeling, peeling, ripped, ripped, torn, torn, stained, stained, jammed, jammed, creaky, creaky, squeaky, squeaky. And I'll give you one more word just to finish off. We'll just put this right here. Our last word is stuck. Stuck. And this means the same as jammed. All right, so this concludes this lesson here. So what you will do, if I've just posted the video, you will go back to the Google Classroom and do the activity for this. If this video is actually in the activity, which the more I think about it, the more I think what a good idea that might be, then you'll just scroll down and start answering the questions. As always, if you have any questions on this video, if you're watching it on YouTube, you can comment. You can always send me a message, send me an email, just let me know what you have questions about. So thank you for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more.